So tell me about it, Tom. Tell me who you got here. This is a video now.
My son, Tom III, with his sons, Sam and Luke.
So are you guys thinking about being cadets one day like your grandpa?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. It's a great honor. If you're big enough to do it, it'll carry you through your life. So think about it, man.
I was thinking about being like a fighter pilot.
Fighter pilot's okay.
We had the distinct privilege and pleasure of visiting my former room, which was on the first floor of the 1st Division of Barracks, and Colonel Boone happened to be in at the time and was kind enough to show us through my former quarters.
Oh, that's terrific.
We're having a big time today.
Oh, that's great. God bless you. God bless you, man.
Thanks for all you do. We enjoyed your presentation yesterday.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi, Connie. Here we are. Can you believe 50 years since 59 graduated? Can't believe it.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. God bless you too.
All right.
Hello, Tom. Good to see you again.
All right. Congratulations, gentlemen. This is a great day.
Thank you.
Great day.
Good to see you again.
Just don't let it rain, Nick.
Well, thank God it's not.
Right.
Figure it out.
Let me get you guys.
Tommy's doing it. There's no doubt about it. I don't know who this is.
Hey, Don. Take them off for a second so I can see who you are. No, not your hat, your glasses. There you go. Peter, put your hat back on. That's fine. That makes you official. All right, I got it. I got it. Gentlemen, congratulations. Excuse me. Let me get back.
I guess, Don't get your brim in my eye.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. 50 years. Harry's going to go on for another 50, he just told me. So, Michael, I'm not sure about you, the way you're going. You better
Doing the best
get in shape.
Your General Davidson house in the back. He was coming back from track, and he was running, and he knocked General Davidson down.
Is that right?
and as General Davidson got up, he just shot at himself. He just ran, continued running away.
I'd never heard that.
I'm supposed to tell you this. Pete Dawkins said I have to tell you this.
Okay.
First year, class of 59, we're in the receiving line, and my parents were here. And we were over by the soups quarters, dressed in whites, going through, shaking hands. And your dad looks down the receiving line, and he says, "Turkey Walsh." My dad played football, class of 34, and he recognized him about 10 people away. And my dad had never told me they called him Turkey. It was because of his football stand. I said, "Who the hell is he talking to, Dad?" He said, "He's talking to me. Don't say anything."
He loved those football players. He would come back for his reunions, and those players would just, crowd around. He really loved them.
Turkey Walsh was in the receiving line. And then I would have never known that if General Davidson had said, "Turkey Walsh, what are you doing here?" That's my son.
And that's one of those guys that lived in that room with me.
Uh-oh.
There was, yeah. We had a big discussion about that today. Which
And Jerry.
Hey, they had a hat for you.
I've checked with
I never got it.
Yeah, they had an envelope and a hat for you in our receiving room.
On the plane today. Military drill plays a fundamental role in the history of soldiering. Drill prepared troops for battle, and for the most part, drill procedures used in the days of old copied actual battlefield maneuvers. It was this realistic aspect of drill that made it such an important part of training. Even today, as new weapons call for new tactics, drill remains a necessary and useful training activity. Over 200 years ago, the problem of training an army already at war confronted the founders of our nation. Suffering from lack of organization, discipline, and teamwork, George Washington's Continental Army continually lost to superior British forces. Washington recognized the poor state of morale and hired a distinguished Prussian officer who specialized in the instruction of drill and discipline. Baron von Steuben arrived at Valley Forge in the winter of 1778 to face an army of several thousand half-starved, ragged men. He immediately set to work writing drill regulations for a company of 120 soldiers chosen from various units in the Continental Army. Discipline soon became the cornerstone of military life.
59. Members of this class served not only in the Army, but also in the Air Force and the Marine Corps. The Corps of Cadets would like to express its sincere appreciation to all of them for their outstanding service to our nation. The commander of troops for today's ceremony is the Brigade Commander, First Captain Benjamin Amsler from Titusville, Pennsylvania. The Brigade Adjutant, Cadet Captain Rich Kubu from Bookville, Maryland. The Brigade Operations Officer, Cadet Captain Nicole Myers from Bristow, Virginia. The Brigade Academics Officer, Cadet Captain Ryan Brown from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. The Brigade Activities Officer, Cadet Captain Rich Crockett from Colorado Springs, Colorado. The Brigade Morale Officer, Cadet Captain Rob Lewis from Scranton, Pennsylvania. The Deputy Brigade Adjutant, Cadet Captain Steve Astomborski from Nisseamul, New York. And the Brigade Command Sergeant Major, Cadet Command Sergeant Major Hirtir Diakabana from Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise while honors are rendered.
I think we just stand. Yeah. Until the.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of the United States National Anthem. Please feel free to sing along as our anthem is played.
Matthew Morse.
I want to get the man responsible for this next march. Congratulations.
Yes.
The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major Annie from Fidel, Connecticut. Company A is commanded by Captain Mike Griffin from Grand Rapids, Michigan. The First Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Sam F. Rakely from Blythewood, South Carolina. Company B is commanded by Cadet Captain Alan Adame from Dallas, Texas. The First Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Melissa Magana from Los Angeles, California. Company C is commanded by Cadet Captain Richard Mulder from Prescott, Arizona. The first sergeant is Cadet Veteran. Please stand for the playing of the Army song, "The Army Goes Rolling Along." Please feel free to sing along as it is played.
Left turn, march! Left turn, march! Left turn, march!
Third in line is Sergeant Major of 1st Battalion, 4th Regiment, Cadet Chris Gawley. Chris is from Hastings-on-the-Hudson, New York, and a member of Company B4. This is Chris's 402nd parachute jump. Great landing, Chris.
Go ahead, Pete. Tell me who you are.
I'm Pete Keogh. I was in Company K2, and I knew your father well. Not that well, but as a general. But the two little girls, two daughters, we used to find them walking down the hills. We came up in the athletic fields, and we would ask them, "Where are you going?" And they would say, "We're running away." So we used to say, well, why don't you take our hands? You turn around, and we'll think about that. So we used to take them up and drop them over the front stoop, and they'd go.
Oh, that's a great story.
Number of times, a lot of fun.
I never heard that.
That was great.
That's great.
That's so.
Well,
I left after being a Ranger Airborne in Germany, the whole Cold War, the whole thing. I came back and I went to law school and then went into real estate. And one day I was in Fort Lee, New Jersey, talking to a contractor over there. And he said to me, I told him I went to West Point, and he said, "Well, did you know Gary Davidson?" And I said, "Well, he was a general, he was a superintendent." He said, well, he's a friend of mine. He said, "We used to play football in the Bronx together. We went to high school together."
No kidding.
I never knew that.
My gosh, he went to Stuyvesant High School.
There you go.
They're on a city championship team, the one and only team Stuyvesant ever had.
I'm trying to think of this gentleman's name, but he went into the brick business, big contractor, and he said,
No kidding.
He said he's a great person, he's a great guy.
Well, that was important to him. Stuyvesant was not as important to him as West Point, but he would go back to reunions until he was 84 years old.
Stuyvesant's the best school in the city. It's still over on the west side.
And wore his fraternity pin under his collar all during the war. He took it with him. He had that kind of dedication to Stuyvesant, so that's great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And if you think of others, I would really appreciate hearing.
I'm Byron Marsh.
Right.
I graduated from Wentworth Military Academy in 1955, and your father was a commandant of Leavenworth.
Right.
And he came over and gave the graduation speech.
Really?
So when I became a plebe, why, I knew him, and it was very, very nice.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Ladies,
Get him back up. Get Colby. That's all right. Back up. I don't know how. Ladies, you're in the way. Back up. All the way.
General Garrison Davidson was a superintendent when I was a cadet here, and had a great impact on me personally, and I'm sure a lot of my classmates in 1959. General Davidson had three sayings that provided for me a great compass to follow in professional life. Continue to grow, be considerate, and make quality a habit. And I thought that was an extraordinary insight into thoughtful and professional compass to follow throughout my own professional life.
Did you have any contact with him while you were a cadet? Did you?
No, I don't think any direct contact, but when I was deputy commandant at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, at the Command General Staff College, I wrote General Davidson a note saying that we had the same job, and I admired him as a superintendent. And I reminded him of those three sayings, and he wrote me a wonderful letter back, handwritten, and with his impeccable signature, Garrison Davidson, which was just almost like a mechanical drawing, so perfect.
Right.
But he remembered that, of course, and thanked me for the letter, and just was such an inclusive, gracious man who always put the spotlight on others and not on himself.
So, General, you were speaking yesterday, and I missed it at the tail end of your presentation about linking up 59 and 09. And
well, I was thoughtful of Pete Dawkins, our class president, asked me to say a few words about the 50-year affiliation program, which started informally with a class in 1945 with presentation of bars at graduation ceremony, and as most traditions do here at West Point, evolved from that rather informal beginning into a formal program now. And with our class, we've had a series of activities over the 4 years with the class of 2009, whose motto is "For Your Freedom and Mine." So it really brings to life the phrase "From the core, grip hands." It makes the connection across those years, not to accentuate what separates us across those years, but what really bonds us as West Point graduates. The values that we share, the values of duty, honor, country, service, honorable service to our nation, and those attributes, those leadership qualities of commanding and leading soldiers in battle that endure over the year. And our class added two significant contributions to the affiliation program by the book on leadership that classmates Andy O'Meara and Jim Abrahamson put together, that was given to each member of the class of 2009 at branch night on the 2nd of November 2008. And then secondly, at our annual Battle Command Conference in the spring, we do for the first class. This year we did for the class of 2009. We had 117 mentors active duty from around the Army, from staff sergeant to colonel. And added to that group of mentors were four of our own classmates, Ed Burba, John Mollering, Dick Sunt, and Don Reinhardt, who in small groups made that connection and made the affiliation program come to life, talking about values and talking about enduring truths of leading soldiers. So this affiliation program to all of us is more than symbolic. It's really substantive. And ere may that line of gray increase from day to day, and now it does with this 50-year affiliation link with the class of 59 and 2009. My own opportunity to teach Battle Command this semester with a class of 2009, 16 members of that class, I can report to my own class that these young people, they are representative of the class of 2009, and they are inspiring to be around, and our soldiers and the families who send them their sons and daughters, who entrust them with their sons and daughters, and our country and their soldiers will be in great hands with these splendid men and women who will graduate as members of the class of 2009 on the 23rd of May of this year.
General, God bless you for your service. General Fred Franks, you didn't, as usual, mention your name, but please tell me, in addition to what you're doing now, your last few commands for those who see this who are not your classmates or others who are so familiar with the Army.
Well, thank you. I was very privileged to command the 11th Cavalry Regiment, and followed by the 1st Armored Division, and then 7th Corps from Europe to Saudi Arabia, with units added to include the 1st British Armored Division. We had a great team during Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and then my final duty assignment was as Commanding General of Training and Doctrine Command, responsible for ideas for future land warfare and also the Army's extensive school professional development system. I had a lot of connection with classmates too in operational assignments in Vietnam. Don Smart and Byron Marsh in the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment, and during Desert Storm, my classmate Ed Burba was a Forces Command commander, sending us units from continental United States. My classmate Bill Burleson was Chief of Staff of U.S. Army Europe, who was really instrumental in helping our families at home while we were deployed. And also my classmate Bill Mullen, who commanded the Big Red One forward, and who very unselfishly came with his chain of command to Saudi Arabia and ran our port operations to get our units off the ships and off the airplanes, married up with their equipment, did all that while so we could concentrate on preparing for the attack into Iraq. So the connection with classmates in those assignments was very, very strong.
It's wonderful. God bless you, General, for your service to the country.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. The 1st Division Barracks, the oldest barracks on West Point, going back more than 100 years, I'd say. General Pershing's room from many years ago.
No, A1.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were together Beast there.
In Beast Barracks, we were roommates.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Come out here and meet my wife.
Oh, I'd love to. I want to introduce this young man, too.
Long gray line.
Yes, you have. And I have something for you in my purse. I don't know if you can take it now or not.
You're putting the makeup on. You're blushing. Let me get a picture of this.
The 1st Captain's Suite. At the time, Mr. Pershing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what it's like. I can say. Yeah. My room right now looks.
Yeah.
Even the beds are exactly the same, except we have I have a green blanket on my bed.
So this is pretty much as it is today.
This is how my room is.
In
exactly.
some of the areas.
In some of them, yeah. I live in the Lost 50s.
Oh yeah.
So it's identical to this. You walk in, our desks are against the wall though.
Right.
You don't have, how many to a room?
I have 2 in mine.
Okay. But
There's some with 3 though.
Yeah.
There's 3, so the desks are facing each other in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
In the French were not much of, well, they were a challenge, but you know, I kind of posted on them.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's great. To mentor a cadet each year out of the prep school.
Yes, sir.
First class.
Thank you.
He'll be the king of the beast here in a couple of weeks.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
We're very, very proud of him.
I'm very proud to know you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
It's really a terrific honor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Your younger brother is what?
He's a yearling.
Is that right?
He's a yearling, yes, sir.
What unit were you attached to?
The 101st, sir.
Oh, right.
Yes, sir. So I was there in the OIF-1, the very first part of the war. I was there for a year in Iraq. So,
Okay.
and then I went to the prep school after that, shortly after that.
Well, my dad was King of Beasts in
Was
26,
he?
Tom Davidson.
Good to meet you.
Congratulations.
Thank
God
you.
bless you for your service to the
Thank you.
country.
Thank you so much.
It's
Appreciate it.
fantastic.
This is my wife, Barbara.
Hi,
How do you
ma'am.
do?
Hi.
Yeah, hi Barbara, Roger. Nice to see
know
you.
you.
Yeah.
The star over your right pocket. What's
It's for grades, sir. It's the
That's
same
a
one
star
that
man.
you'd wear
You're
on
a
your
star
collar.
on your same.
It's the same thing.
He's a
It's
star man.
in collar.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And now you're wearing over your
Academics.
shirts too. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and this
Okay,
uniform.
that's a change. Okay.
The honor committee, 25, 26, 27. Tell me about why your picture's on that wall and what the honor committee does and means to West Point.
Well, I was elected as a underclassman, elected as an honor rep, I think in Cal year, and then again in first class year, and then elected chairman for during first class year. And each company had a company rep, and we would have meetings as necessary. And we reported directly to the assistant commandant.
Right.
And we would meet as occasions would require and make determinations.
Well, the honor committee or the honor code is what this place is all about and what makes it different from any other place on the planet.
Live sheet of steel or tolerate those that do.
Right.
And it really goes to the core of what it's all about, I think.
The core of the core.
Yes.
Yes.
Just an impressive man in terms of the way he wore the uniform and carried himself. And
Did you have any contact with him?
I didn't, no.
Right. It's probably just as well.
It's probably just as well.
This was your room, literally your room. Got it.
I was the fourth floor tower room. I was hoping to get in there, but I'm obviously not.
Oh, we need to figure that out.
And he would say, "What are you doing here?" Because I was on the wrestling team with. He was the lead coach.
Yeah.
And he'd say, "Get out of here." So then his roommate, Leroy Sudduth, who was later a two-star general at Bragg, he was my platoon leader. He would say, "Where were you?" I said, "Your roommate told me." "Don't give me that."
Schwarzkopf did.
Pardon?
Schwarzkopf told you.
Well, Schwarzkopf was his roommate too.
Right.
And he just...
One would tell you to leave and the other would tell you where were you?
Yes, I was caught between
rock and a hard place.
Mr. Chairman, General Frank. I propose a toast to the country we serve so proudly and honorably, to the United States of America. Mr. Chairman.
General Verba.
I'd like to propose a toast to the Commander-in-Chief.
Commander-in-Chief.
Mr. Chairman,
Colonel Dalton.
I'd like to propose a toast to the United States Army.
United States Army.
Mr. Chairman,
Colonel B.
I propose a toast to the United States Corps of Cadets.
Mr. Chairman,
General Reynolds.
I propose a toast to our fallen comrades.
Our fallen comrades. Gentlemen, would you please seat the ladies at your table? General Dawkins.
Gentlemen, join me in a toast to the ladies.
And there are some people who actually need no introduction, but we're going to do one anyway. Please direct your attention to the screen.
1958 is the only cadet in West Point history to serve as brigade commander.
president of his class, and captain of the football team, all while graduating in the top 5% of his class and earning a Rhodes Scholarship. Born Peter Miller Dawkins on March 8, 1938 in Royal Oak, Michigan, he was raised by his parents, Henry and Francis, in the middle-class suburb of Detroit, but spent most of his childhood summers on his grandparents' farm, where he learned the meaning of hard work and dedication. Well, at the age of 11, he was diagnosed with polio and endured 2 years of daily treatment.
I'm sorry, but I had a perfectly kind delivery. At any rate, he doesn't need an introduction, so let's ask him to just come up.
I have to say that both last night and tonight, one of the most pleasing things to me, because we all know the amount of effort and energy that went into this, was to walk around with the tables and just get a sense of the mood and the tenor of the conversation. And you know, we've been having these reunions for lots of years. Each of them has a little different character to them, but it seemed to me that the murmuring at the tables and the sort of sense of it was different than in past years. People seemed relaxed and in a way that was really very delightful in my view, seemed to be truly enjoying one another's company. I hope that's accurate. Certainly for Judy and me, it's been quite spectacular time. So I'm just very pleased that this half century was able to be celebrated the way we're doing it here. And by the way, our masterful Master of Ceremonies, I'm sure you all listened today, but I thought West Point's 162nd was a fabulous march. And Jerry, thank you very, very much. Well, we talked about it before, and I mentioned at the class meeting, some of the wives weren't there, that when Jerry came up with this notion, we thought he was certifiably nuts. You know, he had this really neat idea, have one of his Hollywood pals compose a march and then persuade the superintendent to allow us to have the band learn it and play it. And we said, right. But anyway, that was terrific, Jerry, and just added something additional. I'm going to talk for a very short time. But we've got a lot of servants of this class of 1959. And we've recognized a variety of them over the last couple of days. Jerry Fogel, Jerry Gervell, and his whole team and what they've done. The reunion team, all sorts of people put incredible energy into this. Andy O'Mara and Jim Abrahamson. Andy was supposed to be here. We were going to recognize him tonight. Andy's having health problems and he left this morning. So we're going to have to recognize their work and the leadership by him on another occasion. But lots of people. But there's one person who we haven't recognized. And it seems to me, on this occasion, at this time, we need to do that. And it's the person who, day in, day out, week in, week out, month after month, never leaves his keyboard. I really think it's grafted onto his fingertip. And he's indispensable to us having the sense of community which we enjoy. I don't have to tell you, you all know, but the extraordinary things he does. Heaven knows the number of hours per week. Phyllis is indeed a saint to put up with all that. But Jim, come up here. We'd like to recognize what you did. So we thought maybe Jim would like to have a box. And we gave a lot of thought, Jim, come on up here. We gave a lot of thought to how do you describe this. In the words of the song, how do you hold a moonbeam in your hands? And so we thought shorter was better. And I'll just read this and then ask Jim to say a word or two, but we really mean it. You are the glue in this whole community. It says, Colonel James E. Welsh, Jr., Class Secretary, West Point, 1959. The one who bands together our 59 band of brothers. Jim, thank you so much.
You individually have been coming up to me always telling me how much you appreciate what I do. It's a historical accident. Where's Nick Crouch? Nick, where are you? Now wait a minute. You're up ahead of Q. You come up to me.
In a minute, Nick.
Nick is the actual, if you look at the class officers, Nick is the secretary of the class. That's the way he was when he graduated. And so Freddie Frank, when we reorganized about 8-10 years ago, we had two chains of command. We had the class committee in the DC area, we had the actual class officers that we voted on graduation. Freddie very astutely came in and was helping us out. He said, how come we have two chains of command? That doesn't sound right. It gets confusing. And we said, that makes sense. And why don't we ask the real guys if they want to play in this game? So that's when Pete came on board full time. And Chuck, where are you? Chuck. Chuck's not here? I guess not. Well, anyway, that's conspicuous. We asked Chuck if he wanted to play. He said, no, I don't want to play. So Nick said, well, I'll play vice president. And he was supposed to be secretary. And they said, well, who's going to be the secretary? And they said, well, somebody we never heard of. Somebody that's below the radar. Somebody named Jim Walsh. He lives close to Washington, so why don't we make him secretary? Lo and behold, I happened to be sitting there. That wasn't an abstentia, so I kind of inherited this by accident. And I enjoyed it for a while. and suddenly it became an addiction, and I have a finger on the pulse of the class, and I tell you what, when everybody says this is the best class that ever graduated from West Point, I know we're the best class that ever graduated from West Point.
It's really a pleasure to see all of you and see all of you in the kind of mood that Pete described so eloquently. Reminds me of a story I don't think I can match with Jim used to be a time when I used to read Beetle Bailey and Hagar the Terrible about the Viking, you know, and his wife Hilda or something. And remember there was one little episode of cartoons where Hagar came back from 2 or 3 years of raiding and everything, and she says, well, where have you been? What have you done? And Hagar says, well, we sacked London, we raided the north coast of Normandy, we caught a lot of prisoners down there around Spain, brought them in. How about you? What did you do? And Hildegard said, well, I raised 2 of your kids that you haven't met yet. Fixed up the house. As you can see, now you've got your own room to sleep in if you want to. All of that. And, Anyhow, so, you know, we go through these. I was thinking about, you know, the class of 209, they have men and women. When they get to our stage of the game, they may not be able to just say Band of Brothers. They might have to say Band of Brothers and Sisters or West Point Family or something like that, because the women are already part of it. But I'll tell you, the women are already part of our class too. They're the ones listening to some of the talk that Pete talks about. First night, we're sitting next to, we got Shanghai, Chris and I got Shanghai by M2. We were looking for a C1 table. But Kathleen Plummer was in the wheelchair, and when I was in Vietnam, Kathleen and Chris stayed in homes in Highland Falls, and they became good friends and all of that. Well, I knew that, you know, I knew a little bit of their background, and of course Tim and I crossed paths, but they saw Chris coming, so they took her to the table, so I ended up sitting with them too up there. Everybody there except the ladies. I had to look up a bit, try to look them in the eye. But I asked Kathleen, I knew that Tim had been in Egypt about the same time that I was in the Middle East during the Yom Kippur War and others. And I asked Kathleen, well, did you get a chance to visit Tim in Cairo while he was there? Well, Kathleen says, what? Was 4 kids growing? So anyhow, but that's the story of many of our class wives and our sisters here that did an awful lot of things. Well, we end up getting many of the awards, and I have one here to present to our leader and our president for 53 years. Peter was elected during our yearling year. And, but I want to tell you that while it's inscribed for Pete, the words also apply to our First Lady, Judy. That goes and all the other awards. I'm sure the guys that got them will certainly admit that they couldn't have done it alone. So Peter, and I'm not going to go into the great citation that we have concocted here, but I'll just say this citation for exemplary service is awarded by the United States Military Academy, Class of 59, to Peter Miller Dawkins, in recognition of extraordinary service to his classmate and his outstanding leadership as president of our class, and all that for 53 years.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks very much. Nick, thanks very much. I genuinely appreciate all those sentiments. I was wondering whether I was going to get a cremation box. Well, my wildest imaginings, I never thought anybody... Listen, I would like to pick up and just say a few words along the lines of what Nick was talking about. And I'm not entirely comfortable broaching this topic, only because I'm fearful that I'm not going to be able to express appropriately the feelings that I have, and I think all of us in the Band Brothers have. But I was honored to be able to give the toast tonight to the ladies. But as I thought about it, I'm not sure that's exactly the right toast. It seems to me like the toast should be to our ladies. Let me tell you what I'm what I'm thinking of. Our Ladies are indescribable, so it's with some trepidation that I enter into this at all. But some of Our Ladies have been with us for the whole journey, for the half-century journey, others for a lesser period of time. But it doesn't seem to me that that makes any difference, that we all appreciate the extraordinary things they have done as part of us moving along that journey. Jim was talking tonight, or Phyllis actually, about going to have a baby when Jim was in airborne school, and the airborne sergeant said, "You will not miss this formation. Whether your father dies or your wife has a baby." And so he didn't miss the formation. In one of the bios, and I don't remember who, but the telling tale of the race between one of Our Ladies whose husband was on maneuvers in Germany trying to get to the hospital before the baby arrived. At the bicentennial, I shared a story about Judy, where 8.5 months pregnant, she was out 4:30 in the morning in the rain pushing my old clapped out car down the road. It jump started because I had a Paul D. Adams call out that I had to be at. And each of us has 2 or 20 of these kinds of things that mark highlights along the way of what Our Ladies have done for us. And I was also thinking that, you know, during the time when we were on active duty, it was very much 2 for the price of 1. You know, whether it was the thrift shop or the hospital or the ACS or programs for junior enlisted wives, Our Ladies stepped forward and they just did it, and that was just felt that was what they were supposed to do. And I know from time to time I hear Judy refer to herself as a horse bull. And I've never been entirely comfortable with that. Maybe because I don't think of myself as a horse. But at one level, it's descriptive and accurate, but at another level, it's entirely wrong. Because it doesn't accurately express how central and how critical and how much a part of our lives Our Ladies have been. And I'm not sure I can express it properly, but there is a bond. There's a bond between all husbands and wives, but there's a special bond, it seems to me, among us at this time, in the era that we lived through in the last half a century, of kind of a special regard and respect and enduring love that we all feel. So, I don't know how to express it properly, but I would ask if all of the gentlemen would rise with a glass, and we'll toast again. This time, just a little bit differently. And I'd like to propose that we offer a toast, a heartfelt toast, to Our Ladies. God bless them, one and all.
Please rise for alma mater and the retirement of the couple.
as a now 50-year friend, I just want you to know how much this meant to me to be here and to be a tiny part of your band of brothers and your women, and the extraordinary class that you've led for 50 years now. Just makes me feel honored to be a tiny part of it. And I know Guard Davidson is looking down tonight and saying, those are my boys and those are my girls, and I'm proud of you and what you've done. So thank you for letting me be here and just to be a tiny part of this. It's been an honor for me.
Thanks, Tom. I genuinely, and we all do appreciate it. Gosh, 50 years. Hard to really comprehend half a century. Doesn't seem like that long. I guess everyone says that. But coming together at this moment, almost 500 strong, was memorable. And, you know, doing the things that one does at this kind of an occasion, to have a church service and remember the fallen and reflect on our brothers in the band of brothers who are with us only in spirit, is a part of it. Having the parade, having our own march, West Point's 162nd, I think a first.
Remarkable.
Kind of adds to the list of firsts that I think this class of 1959 really can proudly point to. The closeness that exists, the ways that our lives have really intertwined over these many decades now, to where we still enjoy the opportunity to come back and get together, spend time, renew, reminisce, and reflect at this stage on what it all means. You can't, I don't think, distill it down to one little kernel. But an awful lot of it lies in not only our special bond with one another, but with the whole community of our families, and especially with our ladies. We lived in an era, and we're part of an army where our wives were so integral, such an important part. I don't think we ever took them for granted, at least I hope we didn't. But I know for sure we never expressed adequately how much we respected and the regard we felt and how much they have meant to us. So this was a real milestone. This was a real, I think, monumental moment where a lot of things came together. A lot of the feelings people have had, a lot of the things that went unspoken over the past half a century got talked about. And you just sensed that people look back on this class and this time and these 50 years with a sense of satisfaction, a sense of pride, and a sense of peace.
And if you had to say, Peter, what West Point meant to you and meant to your classmates, what would you say West Point, the role West Point played and what it brought to you over your life?
You know, we ask ourselves, at least I do regularly, and we did it many times over the past few days, where does West Point fit in our lives? What did it do for us? What do we owe our time at West Point? And, you know, I think of three things. One, we came as teenagers and we grew up. Second is, even when we didn't understand it, we came to embrace not just certain standards, but a culture and an attitude and a life outlook. And third, and most importantly of all, I think it made us respectful of the opportunities that we have and committed to trying our very best to do what we can to live up to these extraordinary traditions, the traditions of the long gray line that we stood upon and that hopefully we can continue to sustain into the future.
God bless you, Pete. God bless your classmates.